After 1967, Pandit Bhagwat Dayal lost his government as Congress chief minister lasted for 13 days because Devi Lal ji walked away with his men and others with them. And the period of Ayaram and Gayaram, the nomenclature Haryana has added to the dictionary of the world. Haryana needed was stability. And Indira ji realized that these leaders, who were equally tall, will not let that political stability come about in Haryana for its progress. So she wanted a new face. Chaudhry Bansi Lal ji, who was a little known at that time, was a rather fresh face. He was picked up.
Namaskar, welcome to another episode. I'm joined today by, in fact, not just joined, I'm honored to be in the august company of Kuldeep sir, who's been a lawyer, a social worker, and a long time a student and a practitioner of Haryana's politics.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes a spectator and sometimes as a practitioner also.
But more importantly, and the reason I wanted to have this conversation with you is because you are perhaps one of those select few people who have seen Haryana's politics switch, uh, in terms of morality, in terms of monies, in terms of parties, in terms of principles and values, and have seen it perhaps deteriorating in some way also from your yesteryears, from whenever you're in your early teens, you've been close to some very powerful people who have left their deep impressions and imprints on this state of ours. And the family, your father, till date stays in many ways the tallest Brahmin leader of the state. And if we need to segregate conversations from caste, it would be right to say, and I swear by it, there are many people who would remember Pandit Chiranjit Lal Sharma ji as one of the tallest leaders of the state, who've seen the state transitioning from being back in all economic and development parameters and then switching into how the state found itself on a runway. And then when you were at your prime, when you were managing the assembly, Haryana Assembly, you were at the juncture where the state was taking off. So let's go back in time and revisit those days and revisit how Haryana has developed over these decades. Um, why don't we start with your family, your father?
To pick up threads where you left them, having been born in 1957, I can say that I belong to the old school of politics also. I've seen that. I've seen the transition thereof and the new school now. So I've been in these three stages of politics as a young boy, young lad, young man, angry young man, and now whatever I am. Having been born in political environs, having grown and brought up in those atmosphere, my father being a politician himself of era of Pratap Singh Kairo, that means era of Punjab politics, for a creation of Haryana. I have seen him rubbing shoulders with the greatest and the mightiest leaders of the state, like your grandfather also, but Chaudhry Singh Ji. He was twice union minister here. And my father used to work for his elections as a legislator, as a former legislator. Kinds of Chaudhry Zakram Ji, Pandit Bhagwat Dayal Ji, Rao Biren Singh Ji, Chaudhry Devi Lal Ji. All these people, Pandit Shri Chandram Ji,
Chandram.
and Banas Das Gupta Ji, Bansi Lal Ji, Chaudhry Bhajan Lal, as at the risk of repetition. And then of course, I myself seen rubbed shoulders with Mr. Om Prakash Chautala and thereafter Chaudhry Bhupen Singh Hoda. So all these people, I've seen them in different ages, different stages also of life. So I can say that I am an insider, having sometimes worked behind the curtains and never actually surfacing in politics till my father was there. So backroom boys we were. So I would describe myself as a spectator of this journey of politics all these decades in Haryana. Sometimes I've clapped and sometimes I've clashed.
You are an author also. Perhaps it was your role as a speaker which got you this, or you were that breed of old school politicians who understood politics, understood who they were serving as politicians, understood perhaps governance and administration and everything that came in between.
First thing I would say here, before we punctuate you, I understood the value based politics so well. People, above their selfish interests, kept the interests of the country and state first. Primarily because the first, before the transition start of 1977, they were the people who had come out of the freedom struggle, who had sacrificed. And who never thought of freedom, independence as a fruit of life, but as a means of serving this nation. So they understood India. Like they traversed, gone across. They've seen the plight of poor people, farmers.
So that was the early stage of politicians जो थे जो हरियाणा में भी और देश में भी serve कर रहे थे.
Yes.
They were for them objectives and their motivation was different.
Very different. The values were different. They were here for service, not for promoting their families and not building up the future of the families. They were here to do something for the state, for the country, for the coming generations. That's how they moved on. I've seen that despite the verbal hostilities these people had inside the assembly premises, there was a lot of camaraderie with them, amongst them. When they came out of it, they always discussed what should we do for Haryana, despite the differences they had inside.
No, as an insider, my question then becomes, क्योंकि Haryana became a separate state in 1966. From 66 till say 69, Haryana was involved, engrossed, and intertwined rather in the politics of defection in many ways. एंड किसी तरह से कोई एक मुख्यमंत्री का चेहरा जो लंबे समय तक रह पाए वो नहीं इवॉल्व हो पा रहा था. तो दैट डज नॉट बोड वेल व्हेन यू से कि हरियाणा के बारे में सोच रहे थे, क्योंकि पॉलिटिशियंस उस स्टार्टिंग के दौर में तो पॉलिटिशियंस के बीच में एकदम टसल मचा हुआ था. एंड अंकल जी तो आई वुड रेफर दादाजी, तो ही वाज इन द मिडल ऑफ ऑल ऑफ दिस. हाउ डू यू रिकलेक्ट बंसी लाल जी का वो टाइम और वो कैसे वो मुख्यमंत्री बने? And because he's the one who's remembered till date as somebody who endorsed in many ways vendetta politics.
Well, my father was a legislator of Punjab Assembly in 1966 when Haryana was created as carved out as a separate state by Indiraji, and he was one of the prime movers for the creation of state of Haryana. And in 66, when Pandit Bhagwat Sharma became the first chief minister, my father was in the assembly, Haryana Assembly. Then there came a period, of instability, personal aggrandizements, because there were tall leaders who were as tall as anybody else amongst them, like Devi Lal ji, Pandit Bhagwat ji, and so on. I mean, Rao Virendra Singh ji, and Chandram ji, and so on. The people who were equally tall and had come out of, were product of freedom struggle and, I mean, mature politicians.
Mm-hmm.
So they had clash. And everybody wanted to be the chief minister because they were all equal. So that's how, after 1967, Pandit Bhagwat lost his government as Congress chief minister, lasted for 13 days.
Mm-hmm.
Because Devi Lal ji walked away with his men and others with their men. The period of Ayaram and Gayaram
had begun.
The nomenclature Haryana has added to the dictionary of the world. So at that time, in what Haryana needed was stability. And Indiraji realized that these leaders who are equally tall will not let that political stability come about in Haryana for its progress. Because she was the author of State of Haryana.
Mm-hmm.
So she wanted a new face. So Joy Bansi Lal ji, who was a little known at that time, was a rather fresh face. He was picked up.
Some even mention of him as he was something like a briefless lawyer. He was not a very significant figure back in the day in the state's politics.
Yeah, I mean, Bansi Lal ji was among all these people who were tall. Jakhram ji, I'm mentioning these people. So Indiraji picked him up. There were recommendations. Some people say that he was brought in by Pandit Bhagwat, thinking that उनका वो चेला है तो ठीक रहेगा.
Toe his line.
Toe his line. And others say Nanda ji, the then Home Minister with Mrs. Gandhi, he propped him up. There are multiple theories and multiple contributions.
But all permutations and combinations converge towards that he became the chief minister.
Yes, he became the chief minister. Your great-grandfather was also one of those people who were very prominent faces of that era of Haryana politics, being a member of parliament and also a union minister.
Yeah.
So I can see that even you would have knowledge of, even if you're not that old, you're a young boy. But being from a political family, you would have learned about all these stories of those years. So Bansi Lal ji was brought in as chief minister. Nobody knew him much. Nobody knew about him, how he's going to act in this. Then, with the great support of the center, Mrs. Gandhi, even though some people say that his government was not in absolute majority. Governor Chakravarti, at the instance of center, helped him to stabilize. And he did stabilize. Once he did, since he became chief minister at the age of 40, he was a young man and with so much of backing by the center, and particularly Mrs. Gandhi, who loved Haryana. She generously contributed from central funds towards the growth of Haryana. And Bansi Lal ji, I would call him, I mean, there were chief ministers in between, Pandit Bhagwat Dayal ji and now Birendra Singh ji. But I would call Bansi Lal ji the first chief minister of Haryana.
Because उससे पहले तो कुछ काम भी नहीं हो पाया, right?
Because stability had not come to Haryana. So at that time, stability.
And that had been the bane of Haryana for centuries already.
Yes. So Bansi Lal ji had a vision. He wanted electricity, reach every tube, every house. He was instrumental in getting roads constructed. Mrs. Gandhi gave generous funds towards that. And he understood the importance of Haryana, which encircles Delhi from three sides, and its geographical importance, and its impression and shadow that falls directly on Delhi politics. He understood it. And the central leadership always understood the importance of Haryana when it started gesticulating its muscles. So
I think your father was also a minister in
Yes.
Bansi Lal ji's government.
yes, Bansi Lal ji inducted my father as his Minister for PWD Revenue, Education also. So some people asked him, you have brought Pandit Chiranjeev Lal. He doesn't bend. So Bansi Lal ji said, no, Indira ji has given me enough funds for the construction of Haryana, its roads and everything. I have given the Department of Construction to Chiranjeev Lal ji. ये ना खाएगा ना खाने देगा, काम हो जाएगा, सड़कें बन जाएगी. That was the approach. काम कराना है, नई स्टेट डेवलप करनी है. ऐसे आदमी को लेके आओ जो ईमानदार हो, काम करे और काम करवा सके. My father was also a young man that time. He was in his early 40s.
So how did Panditji's politics start?
Like he was a congressman to begin with, and he was deeply influenced by Pandit Sriram Sharma, the greatest freedom fighter the district of Rohtak or the state of Haryana, apart from Pandit Neki Ram, Bansi Lal Bansal, and all these people. Pandit Sriram Sharma's, my father was his protege.
Oh.
So he influenced him a lot. Chaudhry Chotu Ramji was the revenue minister of state of Punjab, erstwhile Punjab. He was addressing a meeting since we belonged to almost the same village. His village and our village bordered each other. My father sent him a chat. He was a student of Delhi University English Literature here. So I want to speak. He said, on what subject? He said, the subject in discussion. He was brought on the stage to speak and he started criticizing the Britishers and the government. And Chotu Ramji ke liye it became very embarrassing. He said, pull this boy down. What is he doing? So that's how one could identify the germs of politics in it.
This must have been early 1940s then.
Oh, yeah, it was in 43-4 that it happened. That is what I gathered from my father. So Chotu Ramji called my father, realizing that he became a graduate from University of Delhi in the college. Called him to Shimla. My father, grandfather, and Chotu Ram were class fellows.
Oh.
Yes. So he said, Chiranjeev Lal, तेरे को मैं
after you.
नायब तहसीलदार भर्ती कर देता हूँ. So कहने लगे जी मैं तो वकालत करूँगा, I want to be a lawyer and not a public servant. I thank you for it. So he showed him this koti in Simla. Simla used to be the summer capital. He said, फिर तो तुम पॉलिटिक्स करेगा भाई? छोटू राम जी बोले, कहते जी मैं वकालत करूँगा, वकालत के बाद देखूँगा। जो छोटू राम और मैं, मेरे जो दादा थे वो स्कूल टाइम के क्लॉक, बिकॉज छोटू राम बाद में दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी में आए, स्टीफेंस में गए. He was one of the earliest persons from Haryana to win Stephens.
Stephen, yes.
And was knighted also. So, Larry Singh was a prominent leader of our region.
Ji.
He was Minister for Education Power. So my father, when he started his practice, he went to Chaudhary. I'm talking about 49, 50. He was minister.
So your father was practicing in Sonipat?
Sonipat.
Yep.
So Larry Singh belonged to Sonipat.
But he studied in Rohtak?
Who?
Your father?
No, my father studied in Delhi mostly.
Okay, mostly in Delhi.
He did his law from CLC, and from here he started work as a lawyer in that Sonipat. So that's why he went to Larry Singh ji. And he said, "Chosam, मैं practice start करना चाहता हूँ, और why don't you come and have a cup of tea the day I start it?" So he said, "चिरंजी लाल, तुम तो झज्जर जिले के हो भाई, ये तो सोनीपत तहसील में, तुम तो झज्जर तहसील के हो, तुम प्रैक्टिस रोहतक करो, वहाँ करो, यहाँ तुम." Because Larry Singh ji knew the germs of politics my father had, because my father was born in one of the villages of his constituency. And
which village was this?
This was Aulana Gaon in Ganaur constituency at that time. So, ये political आदमी आँख का अंधा हो सकता है, पेट का बहुत गहरा होता है. So this identify कर लिया कि ये लड़का यहाँ नहीं बैठेगा. So he said, no, my father said, "देखो समय तो I have not come to seek suggestions from you. I came to seek your blessings and invite you over a cup of tea. If you don't like it, don't come, but I'm going to start here." My father used to tell me कि मैं बाहर से निकला, मैंने जेब में से रुमाल निकाला, मैंने गांठ बांध ली कि I'll contest the next election against Larry Singh. And that's what he did. In 1952, he contested the first election this country had against Chaudhary Larry Singh.
My goodness.
He lost because Larry Singh ji was a Congress, but my father got huge number of votes. So Larry Singh immediately realized.
चाय ही पीने आ जाते हैं. थोड़ा मैटर एक टर्म में डिले हो जाता है.
57 he again contested against him. He lost by a paper thin margin. And in 1962, Chaudhary Larry Singh compromised with him. कि भाई चिरंजी लाल ऐसा करते हैं, मैं तो यहाँ का लड़ लेता हूँ पार्लियामेंट का. He contested on Jansangh ticket. And it switched parties. My father was independent. कि मैं ऊपर का लड़ लेता हूँ, तो नीचे असेंबली का लड़ ले. So दोनों का compromise हो गया. My father won as MLA, the largest margin in the state of Punjab. And Chaudhary Larry Singh was elected on Jansangh ticket, which was never thought of as much in North India, in Haryana particularly. And he was elected to parliament. These strange things have happened, I had a very dear friend of mine, Kuldeep Singh Dolta. Since your grandfather chose Sher Singh ji, Professor Saab, and he was a Kadian, and so was Pratap Singh Dolta ji. He was a Kadian of Chemini Dharana. Or he belonged to Kharar in Jajjar district. We are same region, So Pratap Singh Dolta ji contested the first election against Bansi Lal ji in 1952, a great freedom fighter, the first person who probably joined Lala Shamlal and Bansi Lal Bansal, the Indian National Congress formed. Pratap Singh Daulta lost. But in 1957, he was given ticket by the Communist Party of India.
Yeah, and he won that election.
He won that election against Bansi Lal Bansal from Jajjar.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? You see, when he went with the red turban to the parliament, Pandit Nehru asked, who is this man in red turban? See, it was to signify his communism. So you've gone a little too back.
No, but it's great, no?
Back in time,
because that is what is amiss. And I tell this to many people that and which is why this podcast also, this conversations essentially is to document those very stories. Because 21वीं सदी में ना आज के टाइम पे अंकल जिस भी व्यक्ति से बात करो ना उनको ऐसा लगता है कि ये जो 3-4 पॉलिटिशियंस ही हुए they have been the framers or they have been the fortune tellers or they have been the builders of the state, when it's not like that. It's only because our state and this bane of our state also कि हम बहुत ज़्यादा पढ़ाई लिखाई में इतना आगे जोर नहीं लगाते. स्टेट की कमी ये भी है कि हम अपने हरियाणा का इतिहास नहीं बताते. तो पॉलिटिकल इतिहास तो चलो किससे कहानियाँ हो गए, आप हिस्टोरिकल बातें भी बताओ. There is no way that you can give the next generation the sense of confidence and pride over its own roots. And अगर हम अपनी जड़ों पर गर्व महसूस नहीं करेंगे तो कोई तीसरा ही आके बताएगा कि भाई आप अच्छे थे या बुरे थे. Now that being said, this is what happened in 1962 elections. And 1962 elections के अंदर ही प्रोफेसर शेर सिंह contested, he formed his own party, हरियाणा लोक समिति.
Yes.
तो वो भी 1962.
He and Pandit Bhagwat Dayal had a clash.
Had a clash, major clash.
Major clash. I know that. I was a young boy. I didn't understand it that time. Young boy in the sense I would be 5, 6 years, 7 years old when this was happening.
But this was happening all around.
But this was happening at a time when Ganaur Sahab was chief minister.
Yes.
When Congress was at its prime.
In the state, Congress was...
When a Congress ticket meant everything.
Everything.
And Professor Saab took panga with Congress. So, Ganaur Sahab ने पंडित भगवत दयाल को बुलाया कि उस टाइम Professor Saab was the tallest leader of that area. कि भाई इनको contain, if you don't contain him here, he's one day going into our own roots, eat into it. So he called Pandit Bhagwat Dayal ji, was a labor leader essentially at that time. So mostly he lived in Kolkata as labor leader. Then he came to Yamunanagar, worked in Intak, and he was emerging as a labor leader. And Kaira ji liked him, Ganaur Sahab. So he wanted Professor Saab ko
contain
karna. If you don't contain him now, so then he'll become totally uncontrollable. So that's how that famous clash of those days, you know. That was the given the Mahabharata of that. The whole Haryana, Punjab politics and Punjab politicians, top-notch people were involved in ensuring the defeat of Professor Sechar. I know that.
क्योंकि ये पंडित जी की बेटी है ना भक्ति जी.
हाँ.
भारती. तो भारती जी ने एक इंटरव्यू के अंदर कहा था कि पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू जी के पास भी मुद्दा आया है. तो उन्होंने कहा ये कौन हरा सकता है. तो फिर आई बिलीव पंडित भगवत दयाल जी got an audience of Pandit Nehru. And I'm quoting Bharti ji, she said कि नेहरू जी said कि वहाँ पे तो उस गढ़ में तो प्रोफेसर साहब को कोई नहीं हरा सकता. तो which is when, मतलब मैं भी नहीं हरा सकता, which is when भारती जी से says कि पंडित भगवत दयाल जी ने कहा कि नहीं मैं हराऊंगा. And then the entire apparatus of the state, because उससे immediately पहले प्रताप सिंह कैरों जी की गवर्नमेंट में Professor Sher Singh was as a deputy CM. तो that tussle के deputy CM और CM का tussle हुआ and he had to pull out of the government. एंड अब अपनी पार्टी बना के चुनाव लड़ेंगे. इंटरेस्टिंग डे.
मुझे पता है इस बात का.
जी जी.
और बड़ा हॉट इलेक्शन हुआ था वो. और incidentally, Pandit Bhagat Dayal won and your grandfather lost that election, and which gave a lot of political moolah to Pandit Bhagat Dayal ji.
A lot of
He's the man who could defeat Professor Saab. So उससे prominence उनको बड़ी मिली, and he became DPCC president also.
Yes.
In Kairon's regime in Punjab. And he became the chief minister of Haryana because he was PCC president of Punjab.
जी.
So he being the tallest leader at that time. So when Haryana was carved out, he was picked up by Mrs. Gandhi.
So moving back in the 1970s, and this is perhaps the time when you were also very much in your teens. Um, by now you had started seeing and observing politics in your own way. And since you were from a political family, तो बहुत सारी किस्से कहानियां आपके सामने आसपास अनफोल्ड हो रहे थे. बंसी लाल जी का समझ आया कि वो he had the blessings of इंदिरा गांधी जी, and as a consequence बहुत सारे वो काम करा पा रहे थे, बट वेंडेटा वाली पॉलिटिक्स भी उनमें वो थी जरूर. इमरजेंसी आई. इमरजेंसी के इमीडिएटली बाद ताऊ देवीलाल emerges as one of the tallest leaders of the state. How do you, if you, now that you look back, how was Tau Devi Lal as a CM or as a leader? First as a leader, because वो कई लोगों के रूरलाइट्स की अगर कैटेगरी के अंदर बोलें तो they will consider him, Devilal ji, as the tallest leader and tallest best chief minister of the state. However, if you count the number of days he's been chief minister, he does not stand a chance. So he was always in many ways sort of in the opposition. And this could be said something similar of his son also, who took the family baton forward. तो ओम प्रकाश चौटाला जी भी 5 बार या 6 बार, 5 बार या 6 बार मुख्यमंत्री बने, पर कभी भी लंबे समय तक नहीं रह पाए until the break of the century. So let's delve a bit into Devilal ji's time also.
You see, Joy Devi Lal was very ostentatious leader of his days, product of freedom struggle again, he and his brother also. And a person essentially a farmers movement, and also influenced by Choi Chotu Ramji and Sir Sikandar Hayat Khan and Khizar Hayat Khan of Tiwanas of Pakistan, erstwhile Punjab. So he's one of those people who went to jail at the age of 16, 17. His brother Sahab Singh was a freedom fighter. Then in 52, he was probably elected to Punjab Assembly as a young man. And Mr. Sada Pratap Singh Kairo inducted him as a parliamentary secretary also. But he clashed with it. So he had a farmer's psyche in his psychology, Always, he much believed in clashes, political clashes. So, in 1962, he floated a party, Progressive Independent Party. My father joined that party. My father was elected to Assembly, and he was leader of opposition because Akalis had 24 MLAs and PIP had 26. So he was recognized as leader of opposition in Kairon's regime. My father was secretary to the opposition. So that's how family bonding started, which remained for a very long time. As long as he lived, we were very good friends. So Chaudhry Devi Lal ji, as I told you earlier, was emerging as a politician in Haryana at a time when there's so many other equally tall, equally important people. Nobody was important than one another. They were all. like your grandfather, Bhagat Dayal ji, I mean, all those
Legendary
names.
figures
Yeah.
who were giving shape to next generation
Next
Haryana.
generation. So he couldn't fit into them, and so I would say that since he was into farmers' movement in pre-independence days and also uh, post-partition and post-independence, he always built up an image that he's a pro-farmer and leader, and politics, gain or loss, doesn't matter to him. What matters to him, farmers' cause. So he was successful in building, but he was never very successful in electoral politics. He probably, out of 25 elections he might have contested, his average would be he won 15% of them. He majorly lost all the elections.
Like he was one of those people जैसे हरियाणा पॉलिटिक्स में कहें जिनको हारने से कभी डर नहीं लगता अगर चुनाव लड़ते हैं तभी when the
it was always a stepping stone for him. So Bansi Lal ji had emerged very strong, and Devi Lal ji was almost retiring. He was chairman of the Khadi board, and then from where he was removed. So he was taking rest, political rest, or convalescing in his farmhouse or wherever. So he was never thought of much or heard of much as much. So 1977, when he was in 1975 arrested, put behind bars, and 77 he saw an opportunity with the backing of Chaudhary Charan Singh ji.
The Lokdari era of politics.
So the merger of all the regional and national
rise of Janata Party.
Rise of Janata Party. So that's how Chaudhary Devi Lal got a chance. And you see, chief ministers बटे थे आपस में. चौधरी चरण सिंह ने देवीलाल जी को बनवाया. Of course, he clashed with Charan Singh ji also. प्रकाश सिंह बादल बने, कहीं बिहार में आए कर्पूरी ठाकुर, ऐसे बहुत लोग थे उस समय जिनको पिकअप किया गया था. तो उस समय ये सोचा जाता था जैसे प्रोफेसर साहब के बारे में और पंडित भगवत, भाई ये इफ दे अगेन कम बैक दे आर गोइंग टू बी इन लाइमलाइट, तो इनको थोड़ा दूर रखो. तो बड़ा इंटेंशनली जो उस टाइम के पॉलिटिकल लोग थे, जो हरियाणा के पॉलिटिकल बॉसेस थे, उन्होंने इन दो आदमियों को थोड़ा हरियाणा की पॉलिटिक्स से बाहर रखने की कोशिश की. पंडित जी गवर्नर बनवाया, किसी को मिनिस्टर बनवाया, कुछ किया, बट दे नेवर allowed them to put their feet on the ground in Haryana. Devi Lal ji gained prominence, and he got an opportunity, Opportunity knocks at every door. It knocked at his door, he grabbed it and became the chief minister. So development was not his agenda. No, he never thought of it as much. He always was playing into the psychology of farmers and anti-farmers and this and that kind of politics always. He was good at that.
But how was he as a person? मतलब दिल के कैसे थे, व्यक्ति कैसे थे वो? क्योंकि नेतागिरी के उसके अंदर अगर हम बात करें तो ये जैसे आपने भी क्लियर कर दिया कि देवीलाल जी फार्मर्स के इंटरेस्ट बड़े अच्छे से रखते थे, पर क्या वो एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में फंदे खाते वो शायद नहीं थे. ही वाज नेवर अफ्रेड टू कंटेस्ट इलेक्शंस. बट लोगों के बीच में जो वो प्रेम है, और मैं ये भी समझना चाह रहा हूँ कि क्या ये प्रेम जो है लोगों के बीच में वो उन्हीं के पास है जो ग्रामीण परिवेश से आते हैं लोग, उन्हीं के मन में इतना प्रेम है देवीलाल को लेकर, या फिर ओवर टाइम ही वाज एबल टू स्प्रेड इट अक्रॉस in urban spaces?
Over a period of time, he was able to do it because he never believed and he never practiced politics of Delhi. See, दो तरह के लोग हैं यहाँ जिनको मैं देखता रहा हूँ. Who are very effective in Delhi, not effective in Haryana. Who are effective in Delhi, in Haryana, but not effective in Delhi. So Chaudhary Devi Lal, with Indiraji's strength and those things, soon realized कि भी हरियाणा में पकड़ बनानी है, ये नेबरिंग स्टेट है. एक तो उनका ये था कि उनमें एक बड़ी भारी सादगी रहती थी. वो कहीं भी किसी भी जगह किसी के पास भी जा सकते. वो अगर दिल्ली से चंडीगढ़ चले हैं तो 10 गांव में रुकते हुए जाएंगे, कहीं औका पी लेंगे, कहीं किसानों में बैठ जाएंगे, कहीं लोग बैठे उनके साथ बैठ जाएंगे, कहीं फार्मर्स से बैठ के भी फसल में खड़े हो रहे हैं, ये हो रहे हैं.
And that was very natural, not
वेरी नेचुरल.
मतलब ये कोई ऐसा ऑर्गेनाइज जैसे आज के टाइम पे बड़े
आजकल तो शो है
पीआर वगैरह प्रैक्टिसेस चलती है ना.
He was never photographed much like that. मुझे एक नकली राम गुजर थे सरपंच कोहंड के. He was a congressman, but when it came to discussing about Chaudhary Devi Lal, he would not hear a word against him. कहते भी आए थे और आके मेरे पास आ गए और चाय पी के चले गए. ऐसे चौधरी देवी सिंह का फार्म था, अरविंदर सिंह कल्याण के फादर थे, वहां आ जाना. फिर उनके अलग अलग ठिकाने होते थे, वो जाते थे उनके पास, कहीं लस्सी पी ली, कहीं दूध पी लिया, फिर रुक के बाहर रोक के खड़े हो गए.
ऐसे में कोई पूछे परिवार कैसे संभाल रहे थे.
वो तो फिर अपने चल रहे थे. तो चौधरी देवीलाल को मैं कहूंगा कि उनका ग्राउंड कनेक्ट बहुत अच्छा है,
बहुत जबरदस्त है.
और इसी से उनको वो कई बार पॉलिटिक्स के इन एंड आउट हुए, लेकिन इंटैक्ट रहे.
हाँ,
इस कारण
he was never out of the game.
So he is a big book for budding politicians, you know. That even if you don't get elected, आप कुछ बने या ना बने, पर आपका कनेक्ट जो पब्लिक में है, उसको nobody can snatch it away from. If you are connected with people at the crowd, that's a quality Chaudhary Devi Lal had, and that's how, despite losing all elections, he stayed in politics, relevant and irrelevantly also, but mostly relevant.
And when the time was right, he became CM also and deputy also.
Yes. So he believed in, he was an architect of opposition unity at a time, I would say.
80s he was the one of the biggest faces in national politics.
Yes. He was able to bring people with different and difference of opinion together. I once said I went to George Fernandez. So he told me, when this VP Singh was made Prime Minister, so I had a clash with Chaudhary Devi Lal in a meeting of leaders. So उन्होंने मुझे देवीलाल कहने लगा, अरे करेगा पाटे पजामे पहले तू है कि? He used derogatory remarks. And Fernandez said, out of the meeting I came and I said, I'll never meet this man again. But next day when he opened his doors of his lawns, doors of his house towards lawns, he found Chaudhary Devi Lal sitting there in a mood sitting, जो दिन का न्यूज़पेपर उठा के बैठ के पढ़ रहा. I went to देवी लाल जी, आप मेरे पास आए हो, कल तो मुझे ये कहते हैं छोड़ भाई, that was heat of the moment. और अगर कांग्रेस से राज छीनना है तो हम सबको इकट्ठे बैठना होगा. भाई बोल जा जॉर्ज, ठोकते गुस्से. वैसा लाला मूलचंद जैन थे सोनीपत करनाल में, महम इलेक्शन में वो देवीलाल जी के साथ होते हुए भी उस पार्टी में उन्होंने ओम प्रकाश चौटाला जी को अपोज किया और महम इलेक्शन में जाके सपोर्ट किया. चौधरी देवीलाल जी ने उनको फोन किया, जैसा मुझे बाबू मूलचंद जैन ने बताया, इज नॉट मोर इन दिस वर्ल्ड. तो और उन्होंने मूलचंद जैन जी को, फ्रीडम फाइटर थे वो, मतलब मिसट्रीट किया ऑन फोन, मतलब गलत बोला, और देवीलाल जी बड़े आउटस्पोकन थे। अरे लाला जी के तने देखूं। After 4 or 5 days, he was coming from the rest house in Karnal, and Mulchand ji stayed on the mall road, road leading to the rest house. He said, "अरे मूलचंद जैन नहीं आ रहे हैं भाई, चलो वहाँ चलेंगे." And I was कहता last person I would ever like to see was Chaudhary Devi Lal. Because 5 days ago he had used abusive language towards me. He went there. और I mean, ये था उनमें, ये होना भी चाहिए. So he is a book of politics.
There's a different decorum in politics.
Which has some dark chapters, but इसमें था.
If top of your mind, share one of the dark chapters.
His love for his son drove him to a situation where he should not have been ever. He'd been a great fighter, and
I think that 1 year, in fact, if we boil down to that one election, became the fall of him, his family's politics also for a very long time.
You see,
because that happened and immediately was cleared parliamentary election.
I will not draw a simile, but I'll tell you, rather, not even insinuating, but as a reference to Indian politics. Chaudhary Devi Lal was a freedom fighter. For his son's sake, he should not have been seen as a person smothering politics, democracy, in my head. He done so much for it, for people to gain the right to vote. And by capturing the booth with the help of the police, with the help of goons, you're denying those people the right to vote. That did not behave. I'm too small to say these words. But since we're talking politics, it's the subject we're talking. It's not who's small, who's big.
No, you're not talking about Devi Lal as a person. You're talking about what happened before there this, and then.
Yes.
This
before
should not
this,
have happened.
I've always seen him in a great light. You know, I've been talking to you right now, as if I've been deeply influenced by it, and I was.
That one small phase.
You see, the one thing. You see, this is what happened to Congress also at times. So that's why it's dangerous to say more than that, being in this party. So, Devi Lal ji ka tha, or we do not see him as a man of development. We see him as a harbinger of change. And a person who believed more in popularity and
populist politics,
that kind of, for a lack of better word. So,
because this, I think the reason I'm wanting to converge it, because मेरी नज़र में 1991-92 का जो phase है देश में, तो because of the LPG reforms and more, it becomes a good inflection point. But that phase also becomes an important inflection point in Haryana's politics. Kyunki by 91-92, the three Lals had more or less started to, their downfall in some way had begun.
Yes.
And the faces who became or who stood prominent for the next 15, 20, 25 years emerged very strongly. Another thing, 91-92 becomes an important inflection point because only after that, Haryana's fortunes in terms of economic fortunes, financial upliftment of its people, the government and businesses also started to flourish. And that eventually flowed into politics also.
Yes.
So far, we've spoken about politics, and it, for any person who may be listening to this, शायद उसको ये भावना आने लगे कि भाई पॉलिटिक्स इतनी साफ सुथरी डिस्क्राइब कर रहे हैं, पर आप 21वीं सदी के अंदर पॉलिटिक्स की बात करते हैं, देयर इज नो वे वन कैन डिनाई द इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ मनी इन पॉलिटिक्स नाउ.